Then I'll walk through cornerstones of any ERAS program and how we approach program design in the congenital cardiac space. From there, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of implementation and sustainability, what it takes not only just to launch, but maintain a meaningful change. I'll also share some data from ERAS journey in cardiac care, Boston Children's, their challenges, and what they've learned. Enhanced Recovery After Surgery, or ERAS, is a multidisciplinary, evidence-based approach to perioperative care. The primary goals are to reduce variability in practice and minimize the physiologic stress of surgery. By doing so, we can support faster, smoother postoperative recovery, improve patient and family satisfaction, and deliver high quality and high value care. And importantly, these gains are achieved without increasing morbidity or mortality. Safety remains at the center of every ERAS program. When we think about value in healthcare, it is simply quality over cost. Quality includes outcomes, safety, and patient experience. Important outcomes to accelerating recovery includes focusing on opioid-sparing strategies, allowing for immediate or early extubation, the early resumption of enteral feeds and mobilization, and shorter lengths of stay, while also focusing on reduced complications, improved patient and family satisfaction, as well as reducing cost. Enhanced Recovery After Surgery is a multimodal care pathway that is well established in various surgical disciplines. Literature is plentiful of successes of ERAS pathways, specifically in adult populations for abdominal and cardiac surgeries, and recently applied to pediatric non-cardiac surgeries. Congenital cardiac care is naturally well suited for ERAS because our field already relies heavily on multidisciplinary teamwork. We've also seen successes with individual ERAS components. Early extubation, for instance, is something many of our teams have embraced and implemented effectively. In addition, ERAS protocols also help optimize hospital resources, especially critical when bed availability is limited. By minimizing length of stay through multimodal pain management, early mobilization, ERAS can free up ICU and inpatient beds more effectively. ERAS is built on 5 key pillars that drive improved outcomes and efficiency. Evidence-based protocols ensure that care is standardized and supported by the latest research, reducing variability and improving recovery. Multidisciplinary teamwork is essential. ERAS requires collaboration between surgeons, anesthesiologists, nurses, and other stakeholders to be successful. Continuous interactive reporting and review allows teams to assess real-time data, identify gaps, and necessary adjustments. Data-driven change ensures the modifications to protocol are backed by measurable outcomes rather than assumptions. And readiness for the next change keeps ERAS programs evolving. Continuous improvement is a key to long-term success. So, who comprises the congenital cardiac ERAS team? Cardiologists, surgeons, anesthesiologists, intensivists, CICU step-down unit teams, importantly, patients and families, their pediatricians, respiratory, physical, child life and music therapists, lactation consultants, child psychologists, discharge planners, and QI consultants can all help ensure changes are data-driven, sustainable, and well integrated across teams. Developing an ERAS program requires a structured approach to ensure success. Step 1 is selecting a patient population. Start with a limited, well-defined, low-risk patient group. This allows for easier implementation, tracking, and refinement before expanding to more complex cases. Step 2 is identify care components. Break down key elements of the perioperative care from pre-op optimization to post-op recovery. Within this, it's important to review data, to analyze existing institutional data to understand current practices, outcomes, and gaps in care. Secondly, is protocol development to create standardized evidence-based guidelines for ERAS pathway, ensuring multidisciplinary input. Thirdly, is to define metrics. to establish clear, measurable outcomes to track success, such as length of stay, complication rates, and adherence to ERAS protocols. Successful ERAS implementation requires a structured and collaborative approach. Support from leadership is essential. Administrative and clinical leaders must champion ERAS to drive institutional buy-in and resource allocation. This also includes identifying local champions, key clinicians who advocate for ERAS, helps promote adoption and adherence among teams. Education of team members and families ensures that everyone understands the goals and benefits of ERAS, leading to better compliance and engagement. Electronic order sets standardize care delivery, making ERAS protocols easier to follow and reduces variability. Real-time tracking and adherence monitoring provide insight into protocol compliance, patient outcomes, helping to identify gaps. Iterative changes based on data ensure continuous improvement, allowing ERAS to evolve and remain effective over time. So what are barriers to implementation? Resistance to change can occur at any point of program initiation and design, implementation, or sustainability. Key barriers to implementing changes in pediatric cardiac care include conflicting or insufficient evidence. Mixed results in studies can create uncertainty about best practices, making change difficult. Other barriers include limited resources, both time and personnel. Clinical teams are often overburdened, leaving little time for implementing new initiatives. Additionally, there is often lag in the development of electronic aids. Outdated tools hinder the adoption of evidence-based practices, slowing implementation. Now, we're shifting our focus to how we can sustain and continually improve an ERAS program. This includes a monthly review of quality metrics. By leveraging an accessible real-time dashboard and revising protocols based on data, it is important that you demonstrate value and, most importantly, identify opportunities for process improvement and research to keep advancing care. In 2018, Boston Children's developed an ERAS program that, as you can see, is extremely comprehensive. It's designed to optimize care across the entire perioperative period, from pre-op through recovery. The program includes multiple coordinated components, such as preoperative education, nutritional optimization, multimodal analgesia, early mobilization, and more. Many of these components will be explored further in greater detail throughout today's talks. The 5 important phases include before surgery. This phase focuses on education, family engagement, and setting expectations for recovery. There's the day of surgery, which includes preparing the patient for surgery, ensuring a smooth transition and optimizing the surgical environment. There's during surgery, or the intraoperative period, which involves implementing multimodal and anesthesia techniques, local anesthesia, and strategies to prevent postoperative nausea, vomiting, and prevent delirium, and things like normothermia after cardiopulmonary bypass. There's also postoperatively, immediately after surgery, which encompasses strategies for pain, early mobilization, and optimizing recovery. And then there's a follow-up period. This phase includes virtual and in-person follow-up appointments, automated reminders for surveys, and satisfaction surveys to monitor recovery and gather feedback. Now that we've reviewed the components of the Boston Children's ERAS program for congenital cardiac surgery, I want to take a moment to highlight some of the early challenges Boston Children's faced. This graph shows that during the first 5 months of implementation, adherence to key ERAS components was relatively low. They achieved 75% compliance, which is a target for ERAS, in only 5 major program components. Due to the lack of adherence, they increased the length of implementation to additional 12 months through additional education and modifying the components through the data they received in the first 5 months. These early results were actually pivotal in identifying gaps and targeting improvement efforts moving forward. Here, we can see an improvement of many important program components over time. Major gains include reduction of opioids interoperatively, on-table and early extubation, multimodal pain regimens, including regional anesthesia. Let us look at one of the components for ERAS, which is time to extubation. The figure on the right demonstrates time to extubation over the 17-month period. During this time, it shows reduced mechanical ventilation in the ICU. The table on the left also shows they increased the proportion of patients extubated in the OR from 16 to 27% without increasing the number of reintubations or the need for positive pressure non-invasive ventilation. Similar trends occur in other hospitals. This study was published in the Annals of Thoracic Surgery in 2019 and analyzed data from 4 hospitals that participated in a prior collaborative learning study, or CLS, aimed at increasing early extubation rates after tetralogy of Fallot or aortic coarctation repair. During the study period, all 4 hospitals significantly increased their early extubation rates. In the follow-up period, 3 hospitals experienced a decline in early extubation rates, reverting back towards their pre-study levels. There was a regression in early extubation rates from 67 to 30%, and an increased time to first extubation from 4.5 to 13.5 hours. And 3 of the 4 active centers that participated in this Pediatric Heart Network Collaborative Learning Initiative clinical practice guidelines over the 1-year period after the conclusion of the study. The study highlights the importance of ongoing efforts to maintain quality improvement initiatives beyond their initial implementation phase. The Boston Children experience showed that adherence to ERAS components was initially low, which isn't surprising given the complexity of implementation. However, adherence improved steadily over time through iterative changes. Implementing ERAS protocols has proven to be labor-intensive, requiring consistent coordination, communication, and follow-up among team members. But even small, incremental changes have the potential to build momentum over time. Additionally, this process fosters trust, camaraderie within the team, laying the foundation for sustainable cultural change. I'll end here by coming back to why this work matters. ERAS in congenital cardiac care is about more than protocol. It's about limiting variability, supporting recovery, and reducing stress for some of our most vulnerable patients. It's about creating a better experience for families and delivering higher value care. Progress may be incremental, but the impact on both outcomes and culture is real and lasting. Thank you.